Thank you. Thank you so much, Dami, for the warm introduction. I'm very, very, very happy to be here and very honored to be here. And I have to say that beyond all of this big grammar that Dami just mentioned, at the core, I'm just a businesswoman. Like everyone on this call, I'm just someone who is trying to know how to get the best value for every service I provide or every product that is sold. So we can drop all that, we can drop all of it. But for the purpose of this call, I want you to understand that I'm someone who has been in your shoes, who understands why you would even gather here today on a Thursday. There are so many people who are running businesses now and they are just winging it. They are doing what they're doing, how they know best. But you are all here intentional about your learning. And so thank you very much again, Dami, for the welcome. And I'm very happy to be here. I'm going to start. Yeah, I'm going to start. I've introduced myself. Dami has done enough. So I'm just going to get right into it. So today we're talking about how to set vision boarding and goal setting for your business. And when I got the topic, I was particularly interested because it's that time of the year again, every January to February, or maybe from December, people gather, business owners gather, just trying to figure out how to set goals. And while that has become a very popular, it's meant to help you actually clarify the thought process behind setting goals and how to actually not just set goals, but design the right business goals. Designing a goal is somewhat different from just setting a goal. And what is the difference? With design, you are more intentional about going to the roots and building it up, to something that other people can now carry along, even just beyond yourself. And so, the first thing I want to say is that goals don't fail because of laziness. They actually fail because of poor design. So, if you're someone here who feels like every year you have set goals, set goals, set goals, and nothing is working, nothing is changing, nothing is shifting, then I want you to understand that you are in a very normal situation and your goals are not becoming reality, not because you are lazy. Actually, I believe that everybody here is a very hardworking business owner. But you have to get to the point where you go from hard work to balancing hard work with strategy, with strategic thinking. And a lot of times when we think about strategy, we start to think about creating documents, PDFs. That's not really what strategy is, right? And that's what this class or this session is meant to clarify for you. Now, the first thing is that we're going to go backwards. Let's talk about vision. We've we heard the topic, or maybe we saw the flyer and we saw vision boarding. And probably I want to hear from some people, maybe in the comments, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear vision boarding or creating a vision? I want you guys to put your comments in the chat and I will try to look out and see if there's anyone's. But I just want you to tell me what comes to your mind when you hear the word vision, when you hear about vision boarding. I'm sure some of you have gone for workshops or sessions where they will tell you to pay a certain amount so that they can teach you how to create a vision board, right? I'm seeing a pictorial representation of how you want your life to look like. I'm seeing a roadmap, goals to be achieved. And I want to say that you are all correct in some way, shape, or form. However, I want to clarify that a vision is not anything that you see on paper yet. That's not where a vision starts. A vision is not, it doesn't start from Pinterest. It doesn't start from the things that you paste on your wall every morning and the affirmations that you see. A vision, if we define it simply, what is vision? Vision is the ability to see. And before everybody started their business or took the first step, you first saw that image of what you wanted to be, what you wanted it to be in your mind. So a vision is actually the capacity to see and to see as far as possible. Now, the problem with a lot of us business is when we want to start something, we're always too careful. We're always looking, okay, is it possible for it to get to this stage? Is it possible for my business to grow to this level? For example, maybe you're in fashion right now and you're just thinking, you're just giving up. You're just thinking that, oh, my own fashion business is only going to be within Nigeria, it's only going to be on Instagram, it's only going to be, that's the most, because all the big fashion brands in the world, they've already been built. So you just give yourself a very small portion. But now let me tell you something. A vision is actually meant to be somewhat like the unrealistic version of your goals and your dreams. A vision is allowed to be very big. A vision is actually meant to scare you. A vision is actually meant to make you feel like, how am I even going to achieve this? How am I going to do this? And it starts in the eyes of your mind. It actually starts in the way that you see your business. It starts from the way that you treat yourself when you are starting out that business. I'm sure a lot of us here, when we want to start a business, the first thing we just go to is company registration, logo, all those other nice, fancy, amazing things. But your business is actually meant to be built on the foundation of a very strong vision. Like you need to look so far, like 20 years into what you want the business to be like in 20 years' time. Do you want it to be a family kind of business where your children or one of them can take over? Do you want it to be a business that is global and can serve millions of people across the world? And I'm here to say that it does not matter what you are selling, it is free to think of your business in that way. Because believe me or not, everything else that you do actually flows from just that simple ability to think of your business as big as possible. Something I like to do personally sometimes is that when I have an idea, I actually like to go to places where I will see people who have done something similar. I don't know if any of you have ever, maybe you run a beauty business or a fashion business, and you go to the biggest beauty store around you, or you go to the biggest retailers around you. You just go there and you just act like maybe you want to buy something, but that is how to feed your mind. That is how to actually develop the vision for your own business that you want. And I'm also here to say that even if you've started your business already, even if you didn't start it like this in mind, maybe you started it because you needed money, or you started it as a student from school, so there was no time to do all of these things. I want to tell you that it is not too late to continue running the business, but also go back to that drawing board, because trust me, that is what is going to keep you strong when you are frustrated. That is what that image of what you want it to become is what is going to keep you going. It is what is going to help you know who the right people will be for your team. It is what is going to help you know what you're not going to do, no matter what is being done in that industry. Let's say you sell clothing items. I don't know why I'm using fashion so much. Let's say you sell clothing items. It's going to help you know what kind of clothes do I want to make and what kind will I never make, even if someone was willing to give me $10 billion to make it. That is the power of a strong vision. And of course, in setting this vision, it is possible to then use pictures and images and the vision boards. It is very possible to now put together all those images just so that you remind yourself, and even so that you find it easier to communicate. In setting a vision as well, it is very important to craft your vision statement. And like I said before, your vision is meant to be the somewhat unrealistic version of what you want your business to be. Don't worry, we're already dealing with reality too much. So it is okay sometimes to just just daydream about your business. Just think about it, not in a mindless way, but very mindfully, very intentionally. And right after that, like I said, you can now start to put it in maybe different spots, maybe in your office, the way you set up your store. You can do all of those things because it is a sentimental activity. And then after vision, we now go into mission. A vision is meant to leave the question of how. If you say your vision statement and you're already saying how, then there are chances that this vision you're already thinking of it too small, right? And I created a framework and a template that would help you know how to craft all of these things. I can share the link somewhere towards as we go further down the line. But if your vision is meant to leave anybody who hears it with the question of how, and that how is now meant to be answered in your mission. So think of a vision as where you want to go, the destination, and think of the mission as the means of transportation that you want to use to get there. There are so many ways to get to one place. You can decide that you want to travel to America now, and you can decide to take a plane. You can decide what airline you want to take. You can even decide to be audacious and walk. These days where people are doing many Guinness World Record and everything, you can tell yourself that, oh, you want to be the first person to walk from Nigeria to America, whatever the case is. But that is just to say that your vision tells you or shows you the destination, but your mission is the how. And when you have that mission, when you have the how that you want to go, it now starts to trickle down and inform the goals that you are meant to set. Now, see all of these layers that I've just gone through before getting to goals. And this is not so that you can now procrastinate or so that you can now say, oh, I'm setting my vision. I don't want to have goals. But it's just to let you know that there is a strategic way, there is a more intentional way to design your goal setting that actually makes it effective. I don't know if any of you have experienced this, but there was a time where I felt like every year I would come in and I'm saying the same things. And I'll look back in the year and I'm not saying the same things because the goal is the same. I'm saying the same thing because I didn't do anything about what I said the previous times. And it started to make me feel like an unserious person. It started to make me feel like I was not hardworking enough. It started to make me feel like I was an imposter. And this is what bad goal setting would do for you. This is how it would make you feel as a person. If you're not intentionally designing your goals well, you will actually find yourself working day in, day out, but it will feel like you're not getting the outcome of all the hard work you're putting. And this is because without a good goal setting framework, you will just get pulled into so many things. Before you know it, as the owner of the business, you're the one still doing logistics. You're the one still replying to customers' messages. You are the one still going to procure the items from the market. Meanwhile, you have a team. Of course, it's different if you're just starting out alone and you're just, setting things up. And that's why goal setting for different phases of business is also important. And that's why you have to understand all of these different layers to it. So first is having that vision. A vision is meant to be vague, not in a way that is too unrealistic, but in a way that probably makes you feel like you don't know how you're even going to start. And then you now filter it down to, okay, yes, I want to create the biggest food company in the world. And I want to do it because I want to solve world hunger. That is maybe a rough idea of how a vision can be. And then you now tell yourself, okay, how? Because producing food or selling food means that you can do it in different ways. You can decide to start from the tail end, which is agriculture, or you can decide to start from the parts that's closer to the customers, which is maybe food delivery, just finding a way to deliver food seamlessly. Now, you can see that it is the same idea or the same vision of making food accessible to people or solving hunger, but you can see how, because of the approach, those two different approaches, the mission is different. And so what that also tells you is that sometimes it is okay if you've had the same vision somewhere else. The thing about visions is that they are generic. They are not necessarily unique to one person. And that's why we say things like ideas are just ideas. All that matters is who executes the ideas. And then from vision, you go to mission. And then from mission, that is now where you land on your goals. Now, I want us to pause before we get to the other side. I want us to pause and take this prompt. So now, please put it in the comments. Imagine 50 to 20 years from now, right? And imagine that your business has succeeded. What does this business exist as? The business that you're currently running now, in 20 years' time, what does that business exist as? I want to see comments. I want to see your comments. I want to see your I want to hear of how you think of your business, right? So 20 years from now, how do you see your business? Is it still the same thing? How far do you see it going? What's the largest form? What's the biggest form possible for that business that you're currently running now? Something that you started out in your room and maybe it's only one of you and maybe your family member or a friend that is helping you. But think outside of the problems that you're dealing with today, what is the greatest way that you see your business? You can even compare it to a current brand that exists. You can say, I'm seeing things about to be a global brand. What kind of global brand? I'm seeing impacting lives and connecting people. In what ways? I can see the biggest bridal empire in Africa. And from that, I can already tell, oh, you want to be bigger than the Vicky James or similar, you want to provide the same services. I can see someone saying 20 years from now, the business will be an indigenous snack brand. And that already just reminds me of biscuits that we are still eating, like cabin biscuits, Costa. So it is very possible because these businesses I'm mentioning also started out from somewhere. The biggest ushering brand in Africa, a leading global ed tech in Africa. I can see comments like to be among the top 3 interior designers in Nigeria. I can see so many different things. I can see someone say my business will become a home name, just like Tiffany and Co. I love that very much. I can see someone else say Moonlight Clothings will be the biggest cultural storyteller from Africa. I love all of the comments because this is somewhat how your vision is really meant to be. If Oh, I see someone saying the upcoming Nestle. And I love that because in the presentation I actually made, I gave a reference of Nestle and you probably can't see my screen right now, and that's fine, but I actually referenced Nestle. So I love that. A leading global food production hub in Africa. That is very beautiful. I want to be a brand that has a succession plan like House of Tara. And yes, I love that because that is actually the power of setting a very strong vision. So keep the comments coming. And apart from this, and I'm going to move forward a bit, but let me now say something that a vision is not just merely a desire. Like I've mentioned earlier, it is actually meant to be supported by practical systems and structures that get you here. Because now, as most of us have put all of these wishes or these vision statements in the comments, it is very possible to start asking yourself, how am I even going to get there? What am I even going to do? Is it possible? And the answer is yes, but I'm not here to just motivate you and tell you, oh, yes, you can do it if you put your mind to it. The truth is that you can wish to do it. You can even have the idea. You can be qualified to do it. You can be everything. But if you do not have the right frameworks and templates and structures and systems, you will not get to this point. And you won't have anyone else to blame. Yes, some of us might say, oh, Nigeria did this, Nigeria did that, but there are still businesses that are thriving even with the way Nigeria is. And I actually have an unpopular opinion that the way Nigeria is actually creates the room for entrepreneurship to thrive. Okay, before we move on, I'm just going to share the link to this framework, at least for the vision that I've mentioned. For the vision setting, you will see different prompts and questions that you need to sit down with to properly define your vision. Okay, just give me a second. Right. Yes, so I don't know if the link is going to the public, but I would love for people to be able to access this framework so that everyone can have a better idea of how to properly define their business goals. Now, let's go to the next part of this, which is actually the goal setting and the goal planning part. So we've established that a vision comes first. A vision is the first overarching, most unrealistic, level of um of how you see your business. And then under that, we have goals. And I want to say something that goals are not just wishes. You can't just wish that your revenue will increase. If you speak to the average business owner, everybody will tell you every year, my goal is to increase revenue and increase sales and everything. And I hear a lot of statements like that as the goal for the year. But at that point, it's not clear because once you are registered as a business, Your goal by default is to actually increase your revenue, increase your sales. So you can now come and say again that when you're setting a goal, that is the same goal, or that is the only way that you're phrasing the goal. So goals are not just wishes, they are intentionally designed to work. This means that goals are now less vague. They are now clearer. They have to be things that prompt you to taking action. For example, if you're at the startup stage of your business where you just want to start the business, your goal in that sense is now actually the overarching goal is to set up the business or find, instead of saying, I want to set up my business, your goal should be something like, I want to find my first 3 customers. This is assuming that you have already done the vision, you've done the mission. And I see this happen so often that every time we want to start something, the first thing people just run into is logo or website, and you're spending so many years designing one website when you can just even use Bumper, for example, to set up something simple, right? You'll be talking to designers, thinking about colors, and those things, they have a huge role to play. But that should not be the first thing, because again, action or activity doesn't mean that you're being productive. Just because you wake up every day and you're having meetings and meetings and meetings, if you're at the stage where you're starting up something, you have to be very specific. I want to get my first 3 customers. I want to get my first 5, my first 10 customers. Why? Because now you want to validate your idea. And there is nothing more important than that. But you can see how it is very specific, and it is very specific, and it is very measurable. You tell yourself, okay, in Q1 2026, I want to, depending on your business type, I want to onboard my first 5 or 10 clients. And then Q1 has 3 months, one of which is already almost done. Out of that 10, you now break it down per month. Okay, so if I want to get 10 clients in Q1, I have to do an average of 3 per month. Now, what are the ways I need to find these customers? Where are they? And another mistake we make is we use the wrong tools or platforms depending on our business type. The truth is that not all of us here have the business model that makes it compulsory for you to be on Instagram every day. Sometimes your customers are on your WhatsApp. Sometimes they are actually in person, right? Like, depending on who you're trying to reach, they might be in shops around you. They might be in the markets. They might be on LinkedIn. They can also be on Instagram, but you have to really define that properly. And now, to make this even clearer for us, I have I have come up with, well, not come up, but there is a framework that is very helpful for structuring your goals. It is called the OKR framework. And trust me, when I used this framework, or when I started to use it, it was very clear what needed to be done. It is a very popular framework, but the thing is that it is used mostly by big companies. So a lot of small SMEs don't know how to relate it to themselves. But the framework is so simple that it can apply to everybody. It can even apply for your own personal goals, like your life goals, right? It is called the OKR framework. And I'm going to extend more on what this means and how you can begin to set your own goals using this framework. The first thing is, what does OKR mean? It simply means objective, which is the O. Then K stands for key, KR, they are together, stand for key results. Now, how this is framed is that the objective is the overarching goal. It is the general goal. So let me use an example. I said, if you want to start a business, let me use it for a business that has already started. Now, let's say you're a business that has started and you sell shoes, but what constantly happens is that you do everything right, your product is great, your packaging is nice, the process of ordering is nice, you have payments, everything is lovely, everything goes well. But you see that delivery, when it gets to delivery, that's now where the experience starts to get bad for your customers and even your team. Now, if you're at that stage of your business, or if that is something that happens to you, your objective would be to I'm trying to think of the delivery errors by 50%. let's say you are currently at 80% of that problem. Let's say out of every 10 orders, 8 of them have issues with delivery, whether one issue or the other. And obviously, you can get some of these metrics or information from your bumper, so how your deliveries are doing and all of those things, right? So I'm assuming that you already have the tools to even have that data, because it won't just be in your head. You're not just going to be able to count that, oh, 8 out of 10 orders, you need to solve your delivery issues. Or maybe you have a customer experience team that uses bumper and they also get some of the information, and so they are constantly reporting to you, or you always know when there's an issue because customers are calling you out on Instagram and so on. So now when you've defined that objective, that, okay, this is the biggest issue I have identified in my logistics team or my logistics process or logistics department, your goal should now be, or the objective should now be, to reduce that problem by a specific percentage. So if it used to be 8 out of 10 orders, you now break it down to say, we want to reduce this 8 out of 10 to 3 out of 10. And this is also being realistic, because that problem won't just go from 80% to 0. So you have to be realistic. And this is what goals now helps you to do. Goals help you to be more realistic. So the OKR, that's the objective. You want to take that delivery error, delivery issue, and reduce it from 80 to 30%. And now the key results from there, it just basically means what is going to happen that would help you know that you have achieved that objective of reducing your delivery errors. For example, it can be that you have to automate, by the end of the month, you have an automated system for tracking and notifying customers on their deliveries. Maybe you used to do it manually before, but because of that objective, it has now told you that by the end of the month, you need to migrate from using your hand to calculate orders, or using WhatsApp to compile, and use the delivery feature on Bumper, because they have delivery partners integrated and all of those things that will help you track more effectively. Now you know that that is something that you have to do. Another key result can be that you need to get maybe 5 or 10 more delivery partners, because maybe you were using 2 before, and that 2, you know that the delivery partners that you're using, they are a business on their own, so they also have their issues. So now you want to say, okay, to reduce these issues, we now want to go from having 2 delivery partners to 5 or 6 delivery partners. Now that has given your team a task. Now everybody knows that whatever happens, by the end of this month, we need to have 5 delivery partners. Now that will now translate into things that need to be done for the team, because the person that manages your operations will now know, by the time this goal is set, that no matter what happens, even if I am the nicest person, even if I'm the sweetest employee, even if I'm the person that my boss loves the most, if I don't do this, if I don't onboard 3 or 4 or 5 new delivery partners, that means I have actually not done what I am responsible for. Now you can see how this is already eradicating all the whole uncertainty about which team member is performing or not, who is not. You will have data, you will have the facts to just be able to streamline who or not is performing well. And this OKRs also make it easier and better for you to be able to set what we call KPIs, as key performance indicators. And I'm hoping here that every business owner, regardless of the stage you're in, I'm hoping that you take the time at least once in a month to do these things. I know that business can be very overwhelming, many things running from here to there, but now remember your vision. If you are going to grow like a big global brand, you have to start doing and thinking like a big global brand. You can't be comfortable saying, my business is not there yet. My business is not there yet. It's when we start making 50 million naira per month. That's when we start doing all these things. It's a lie. That's a trap. By the time you get to that 50 or 100 million naira, you will now have to hire somebody to do all the work, and that person will now be expensive. And you will not now want to spend that money. And then you now continue in the same cycle of tiredness, burnout. Your team is frustrated. Maybe you hire people, they can't stay more than 3 months. You hire people, they don't stay more than 6 months. There are just many things flying around. You are working hard, you are not resting, you are always working by 12 a.m. If you don't reply to one customer message, everything will fall apart. Or even worse, if one person should leave your team, the entire thing will scatter and you will not know where to start from. I'm sure these are some of the most common problems that we have, and it's because it actually ties back to these goals not being set well. So just as a reminder, activity and working endlessly does not mean that you are productive. It does not mean that you are productive. The true test of your productivity is actually in setting goals with these frameworks and ensuring that these goals are actually yielding the right results. Now, something to note about goals is that they can change. They are not as rigid or as static as a vision might be, because your business, you can pivot. You can say, okay, the way things are going, we used to import from China before. Now we want to start making it in Nigeria. And because of that new development, you can decide that, okay, you're actually now going to start, you're actually going to start you're actually going to set a new set of goals, right? Using still the same framework, but your goals can change. Even they can change because maybe you've hit the goals, right? And so now you need a new set of goals. So they can change for different reasons, whether it's a change in leadership, you're changing in your business model, a change in the team, whatever it is. So goals are more static, goals are more fluid. It's not to say that you should be changing your goals every week or every 2 days, but goals are a bit more flexible depending on overarching factors. Now, I'm going to share a prompt, another prompt. I want you to share one goal you already set for your business before now. And I'm going to try to refine those goals depending on how they are being set. So I expect that you already have your goals for the year, right? So I want to see some of the goals that you have, and I would be letting you know, how we can refine some of those goals so that it can be clearer. However, please remember that everything I'm saying, just because we can never have enough time to talk about these things, I've created a simple framework that is accessible in the link I shared. And I'm going to share it again so that everybody can have access to these frameworks, because it would help you and it is something that you can use year in, year out. It doesn't change except what you put in it. So I'm going to be reading out some of the comments that I can see now. Okay, so I can see someone saying that one of my major goals was to put in structure into my event planning business, registered my company. So what does structure mean? What does structure mean in this case? Do you mean hire more people, or do you mean, what does that mean? That needs to be clear. I'll take one more or two more because we have very little time left. One of my goals is to increase our number in sales by 70% and to put in structure. So I'll use the first part. If your goal is to increase your sales by 70%, then ask yourself, do you have the data for what it is currently? Where are your customers now? Are they on Instagram? Are they on LinkedIn? Where are they? How can you reach them? That way, okay, we need to post 10 times a week if your customers are on Instagram and that is what works. Or we need to hire one more person so that the person can be in charge of sales, because you might be so busy doing everything and you might not be able to. Another thing to notice is that sometimes to get to your goals, you have to invest. You have to invest in your knowledge. You have to invest in your business. You have to invest in things. I saw someone say that she wants to open up a physical store this year. So if you want to open one physical store, you need to now, that if that is a financial, obviously that's going to cost you financially. So your key result for the month of February can be to get XYZ number in sales and find the physical location, or find 3 options of the store locations, right, that you want to pay for. Maybe, and then maybe you can now pay for it in March. I'm just running through this because we don't have so much time. My goal is to automate delivery or possibly outsource fulfillment. That's very simple. All you need to do is tell yourself, okay, I need 5 delivery partners based on the number of orders that I get. I think we need 2 delivery partners to be able to do this, and you reach out to them. By the end of the month, if you have 2 delivery partners who are reliable, then you know that you have hit that objective or you've met that goal. And I'm just going to take the last one. I'm going to take the last one. One of my goals is for the quarter, is to close my first 10 paying customers. I'm just launching and I need the product validation. So in that case, what you need to do is sell. If you want to reach your first 10 paying customers, you have to talk to, let's say, 100 people. If you're even going to get like a conversion rate, and this 100 people doesn't mean abstract. Literally, you have to, it takes boldness, right? You have to tell people about your business. It can mean maybe printing in-person flyers, or I don't know the model you want to go with, but you can say that you want to stock in stores. That might be a bigger stretch, but if you want to sell to 10 people, then you have to have a pipeline of, I'm hoping you already have the ideal customer personas, you already have who they are, what they like, all of those things. And that is part of what a vision would do for you. And from there, you just start to like create a funnel. So you can even start a closed group. You can phrase it in a way where you say, oh, I want you guys to test this thing. And it won't be for free, to be strategic. Or if you have a community already, you can get them to pay for something else and then add that, and then find a way to get feedback on whether they like that product that was an add-on. They paid for it, but they did not know that they paid for it because you offered something else. So there are many, many, many different ways. And just because of time, I'm going to have to stop here because I think our time, we're already like 4 or 5 minutes over time. But like I said, I have created a framework for you to be able to write these things down by yourself. It contains prompts that will actually help you get to the root of everything. There are about 20 or 50 questions there that you're going to answer. And there's also a part to explain that explains every single thing before you get to that part. So please, you can click the link that I shared below and you can check it out and use it for your business goal setting. But remember that you have to be strategic. There's nothing that you're seeing in the world that just happened randomly. There is no business that you think is big that just came out of nowhere. I'm seeing that some people are saying that the link is not clickable. I don't know if the bumper team can share this with you after the session, but yeah, I have sent the
Someone
link
already
again and I
shared.
can see
Okay.
someone. Okay, nice. Okay, so cool. I would have liked to take one more question, but someone says, are we paying for the framework? Well, yes, it is not free. Like I said, invest in your business, but it's currently on a 25% discount. So if you buy it today, and before I think Sunday, you would be able to get it at 25% off. Thank you very much once again for having me. I wish every single person here the growth that they not only deserve, but that they plan for and invest in. And I would just want to remind everyone here that it is very, very possible to become the big things that you see on screen, on the billboards, everywhere. And yes, I'm wishing everybody the best. But apart from wishing you the best, I'm hoping that you take goal setting more seriously. Thank you very much.